The Lost Cryptids Conservatory, where we will shatter your reality to bring you closer to the truth.
All right, guys, welcome back to another late show. Doing one tonight because going out solo camping all weekend, and it's gonna be having some fun. So here we are, of course. So hopefully everyone's doing good tonight on this Thursday, and we're at the towards the end of June, beginning of July. So this is a critical prime time for Sasquatch sightings. Most sightings happen usually around this time, and also theories about babies being born. Usually, a lot of baby crying and stuff is reported, and in July especially, but usually late June and July. So, but yeah, so pretty much gonna go out to a spot, gonna go hiking off trail, a couple miles in, and um, camp out, get some footage, hopefully get some evidence for you guys. So, just me. Um, so we'll have another video come out Saturday, I guess. Another speaker video. Bob Daigle, actually, Michigan, one of the godfathers of Michigan Bigfoot research. The only one who actually is leaving his research to be to known to people. The other two were more private, and their work has faded away after their passing. And so Bob actually is still out there researching. We went out with him about 2 years ago, and can still lead the way just fine. And he has a lot of unique evidence that he's caught on VHS tapes, and has had a few of experiences, has seen a lot of casts, finding tracks and stuff. Very interesting, knowledgeable guy. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. And so yeah, so hopefully everyone's doing good. I'm going to put the link in the chat here. So all prepped up, ready to go. All my gears charged up, battery banks charged, cameras pretty much all ready to go. I got to try to fit some more room on the SD cards. I got to take them off, put it on the hard drive so I can film more if I need to. Usually, I never really need it, but in case something really did happen, it would be good to have as much possible footage time as you can, which, 16 hours nonstop is, I think, more than enough, but we can bump it up to 20. And so, yeah, actually, do this real quick. Sorry. I have the ability to probably film for. I have on the night vision 9 hours easily of SD cards. So, and then batteries probably more like a couple days worth nonstop. All right, I had some, I don't know, tech issues, whatever. That's StreamYard. Anyways, we'll get rolling. Someone can jump on and hang out. We can discuss Bigfoot stuff. But yeah, so we'll be filming for you guys and hopefully getting something good. Be out there by myself, so hopefully I'll bring in a little bit more activity. Get him close enough so you can catch him on the night vision. Actually, I can film it during the day with it too, but yeah, it's pretty nice. So yeah, and then we got something planned for the last week of July, major camp out. Get together with a good group of people that are members of the Lost Cryptids course, and we'll be in a good fun spot. Hopefully get some good unique activity out there. But we're in different spots. I'm in a different spot this weekend compared to the last few weekends that we've been. And so we try to go to these different spots to hopefully verify that they're there using. Well, I know that they're there. See, here in Lower Michigan, let me put this up. I don't know. So right here, there's a what we call the rifle line. And what it divides basically is using shotguns to hunt deer and using rifles above and up in the UP. So I use that to divide it into Michigan into three parts. Lower Michigan being the bottom half, Northern Michigan being the top half, and then the third would be the Upper Peninsula, being its own unique feature in Michigan. So these three unique regions are distinctly different. Lower Michigan, Region 1, is vastly different than all the other ones. It's heavily populated, heavily agricultured. And the Sasquatches that live here full time are constantly moving around, constantly migrating, rotating food sources and food plots and areas. I don't generally think that they're bed down anywhere, any particularly one time, very, very long, maybe in winter. When they have to hide their tracks. And in northern Michigan, so in lower Michigan, Region 1, they're migrating all the time because there's not as much wilderness, there's not as much woods, there's all these farm fields, a heavy population of Detroit and stuff. So northern Michigan, you have a little bit more wooded areas, a lot more wooded areas actually. It gets extensively way more wilderness. A lot more places where they could comfortably be more full time compared to down there in the lower Michigan. And then up there, there's a lot more sightings and stuff. There's a lot more habitats for them. There's definitely a lot more places to hide. Um, Agriculture and stuff is there's a lot of still agricultural spots in there, but there's huge chunks of wilderness that can be miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles squared and connected. And they're connected all the way up and then to the shores. And then you get it to the Upper Peninsula, and it's a huge swath of pretty much untamed wilderness. Michigan has a population about 9.5 plus million or whatever million people, 9.5 million. About 250,000 live in the UP. So that's very, very, very small, very small population. Some of those people are not even full time either. So um, there's huge chunks of area in the wilderness in the UP that is just untamed pretty much and full time have Sasquatches. They don't need to go anywhere else. And although I believe that they migrate and stuff heavily for breeding purposes and all sorts of things that we really need to study and hopefully one day can observe their interconnecting and how they actually operate and do daily. But so here in Michigan, the Great Lakes around the tips and stuff, so this will all freeze over all the way to the UP, and wolves come over. We know that moose have come over. We know a variety of animals cross the Great Lakes. They even swim it during the summer and stuff. But when it freezes over, animals come across all over, and so the Sasquatches do too. So they're constantly migrating between the three regions. These ones down here are definitely going all the way up here, and they're going all up to the UP, and they're bouncing around and stuff. And then when you go to the western UP, to the Wisconsin area, Minnesota area, and all the way around up towards Canada, around Lake Superior, that is massively just untamed wilderness and very little population of people. The population of Sasquatches, I would assume, would be much greater than here in Lower Michigan, Northern Michigan. Easily, because it's just untamed wilderness basically out there. And anyone who's in those regions, live there full time or hunt, knows that it's no joke and stuff. Winter's no joke up there. So for these guys down here to be full time running around, going into cities. We had that report that was pretty, in urban sprawl areas. You'd have to sneak in there pretty quietly as a Sasquatch to get where it was sighted. Through a lot of houses. Past thousands and millions of people. From them to get from here down, they're hanging out all through here. I mean, you're talking millions and millions and millions and millions of people and stuff, and they're passing through houses, they're passing through the countrysides. If you're not in the city, if you're on the outskirts, outside of the city, the suburbs, and it's connected to the countryside, more rural areas, they seem to get right up to it, right? But if you're in those rural areas and you're all spread out, now Michigan actually has a lot of rural farmland, rural areas. Outside of the cities, we have a lot of small towns, a lot of really dinky, almost redneck type of northern redneck style towns. And these are places where these Sasquatches are going to be more full time and stuff. They're hanging around these smaller developments around these countrysides in these more secluded wilderness, private woods. A lot of private land down here. It's mostly all private land, so a lot of these creatures are, hanging out at the breast and observing people because that's how they have to survive, and migrate. So how are they able to survive and migrate if they don't know where they're going? If they don't know, well, this old lady lives over here. That during this time of the year is the best time. Let's go hang out at this spot. That's through intelligence and learning and adapting and observing their environment, which is us, because we are, controlling their environment, changing the environment. But once you get into the country, into these woods and stuff, usually there's a seasonal, a human stuff that we do seasonally. When hunting seasons, from September to April. That's if you hunt small game, because that's when you can hunt the most. You can hunt squirrel from September to April. You can hunt some other stuff all the way there. Most people hunt deer, which is, if you say use gun, that's only 2 weeks, and then you can do it in winter again with antlerless. So most people are generally here in Michigan. The number of hunters has gone down each and every single year, and it's pretty historically low. So there's not as many hunters even going out, but generally most people are only going out through this 2-week period of time in November during the gun hunt, where you get the trophy deer. Generally, other than that, there's archery hunting, which has a bigger, longer siege, and much longer, a couple months. And there's obviously people who are hunting out there each and every month during archery season, but those are very, very seldom small numbers compared to the main gun hunt. So there's actually only a small window of time where there's a huge, heavy population of hunters in the woods, and it's only those 2 weeks usually. Other than that, it's not as heavily pressured, even though during the first week of archery season, especially, there is a ton of hunters descending in that. But after that first week of the first archery hunt, after that's all done and stuff, most people don't go back out the following months, even though they can. Most people either they pack their meat, their freezers up, or they get their trophy deer, and that's it. They don't constantly get harvested deer every other week for the amount of time that you're actually able to, if you actually wanted to. You just got to keep paying for tags. So usually that first week of archery season and that first 2 weeks of gun season. After that, there's not many hunters. There's more people in the woods because there's still hunters doing other hunting activities, but the mess and cluster and just craziness is dissipated. So after those first 2 weeks, that first week of archery season, they really don't have to worry as much. They don't really have to be too much more worried because the craziness is only those particular times. Also, most hunters, unless you are starting out, have already developed a particular hunting spot, a particular favorite area, a particular style of hunting, a particular, something that they fancy and is kind of routine, which can be observed and can be, studied as a Sasquatch. And, here comes Blake into the woods, here to his favorite blind, which, he goes sits underneath the oak tree to squirrel hunt, right? So he's going to sit over here. But now for deer hunting, he goes down over the swamp and hangs out at this hill. Okay. Now let's say if he's doing something else, he might be in a different area doing a particular hunt. Generally, for deer hunting, people get pretty routine about what they want to do, where they set up, a blind, set it up at their favorite tree, their favorite spot that they always get the deer. So it's pretty easy to just track and observe and stay away from that person's favorite spot during that 2 weeks of hunting season, right? When he's out there. And they might generally, you know, have to be on guard with people scouting areas and developing food plots and actually, you know, more engaged with actually hunting than just going out for the 2 weeks to shoot something. Actually going out there scouting, developing the area, and actually scouting to successfully harvest the next year. Those are very small numbers of hunters that are doing that. It's very routine. They have again the particular plot that they are developing, so it's just one section that they're just fine tuning, so they can sit in their favorite tree stand and just knock it every single time with relatively ease, just doing the perfect shot over and over and over and over again. So they know to avoid that area. They know to avoid these type of things. It's the new hunters that are unpredictable, that are scouting out, they're venturing out, and that they don't have a set routine, that they've never encountered these people before. Now these hunters are, in areas where Sasquatch thought it'd be okay because no one has hunted it for 20 years. Now all of a sudden this young buck comes in wanting to hunt. And so now they have to adapt to change, and maybe you have to observe him. If he keeps coming to the area year after year after year, it's going to develop their own pattern around that person, and they're going to have to move around the area to survive and not be seen during the hunting season. But there are not as many new hunters coming up and doing this. So that would mean that there's even more areas that, as older hunters are not going out and new hunters are not going to those areas, or not even going, then there's a lot of areas during hunt season that are going to be more safe, more possible areas for them to be in, and where humans are just not going to go anymore. So who knows what kind of trend we'll have in the next 10 years and stuff of that, but it's beneficial to them when there's a lack of interest in hunting and stuff. So yep, I usually a small game hunt. I love that. A little bit more than deer hunting. Um, sometimes it's a little harder actually. It's a little bit more fun because typically I like to stalk hunt. When I go deer hunt, that's what I'm doing. So it's more fun that way. But to sit there and to wait for the deer to basically go around to your favorite box in the woods. Sometimes if I want the meat and stuff, and I strictly want the meat, I would it'd be no problem. But sometimes it might be too easy. Might be with squirrel hunting and stuff. They're kind of fast and jumpy and giddy and stuff, and actually feels like you kind of work for it a little bit more, in my opinion and stuff. In some ways and stuff. So also, I believe that's the reason you don't get as many sightings in winter, even though that's easier to track them. They definitely know that they can be tracked, and they probably stockpile food and you know get it on the snow. It's frozen and stuff. Plus, they can probably handle pretty rotten stuff. So I don't think they worry about food going bad too much. But and here in Lower Michigan, especially if they're hunkered down in a spot, it's definitely a spot that has been a good spot for years and years and years and years, where they don't have pressure, as much pressure. And again, the food supply, it's there's a lot of food here. They don't really have to store too much of it. The biggest thing is having enough stored to wait for storms and the snow to cover their tracks, so they can move to new areas. It would cover their tracks, right? Or if the snow is melting, Then they'll move because the snow is going to melt and distort the tracks. It's going to look like anything walked through there. And so if they're only moving during those certain times, they have to be hunkered down for, potentially, up to a week, I guess. Sometimes, if the weather's pristine and clear and doesn't change, the snow environment uh, doesn't decay, it doesn't erode the tracks. That if they're walking around and stuff, any human could definitely follow them back and be able to distinctively tell it's a Sasquatch track for about a whole week. Sometimes if the conditions are right here in Michigan. So, um, and again, it had to be areas where people aren't going to just stumble across their tracks when they have to know that most people aren't going to be in there. It's usually the people who, are new and adventurous and want to go to the new places and are going off rhythm, off their normal routine, do these things not, are caught off guard because they're kind of planned and, strategized on the routines of us, of what we do in all these places. All these places has a certain routine. Even the locals go. The local dude, the old guy with the dog, he might have been going to the certain spot for 10 years now. He always does the same thing. He does his routine. He's never just going to go off trail and beeline this way to the swamp where these guys don't ever expect him to do. So it's when you do this off rhythm stuff that they don't expect. That's when you can catch them. That's when it piques their interest because you're not a normal person just hiking on the trail. You're trying to engage with them. You're if that's what you want to do, or you're just doing something odd and interesting that most people won't be doing, especially in these areas and stuff where um, it's like that. And they'll watch people ride the bikes on the trails, walk their dogs, can ride horses and stuff, right? So they're watching us, they're observing us. I mean, I wonder what they think about us riding bikes. Obviously they understand the bike's not alive because they'll watch people get off the bike. They'll understand the bike's not moving, it's not alive, it's just an object, right? It's not, have no reference, wouldn't know, and might attack the bike because it thinks it's an animal because it hears the bike, hissing and ticking because it's moving, right? All the gears and stuff. The Sasquatches, they're not dumb like that. They're observant and stuff. And they would have to teach each other about these things because they would be mistakes. They would be Sasquatch sightings all over the place. You would see them doing dumb stuff that goes against all these rules and regulations that they have in place that keeps them from being unveiled. They do all these things in unison across the board, across the country, that keeps them still hidden. So ah, just about had to take a drink and yeah, I think you know each is good in its own time and its own situation and stuff, and I do both. But for me, it's the stalking that always has a little bit better satisfaction and stuff. Just because you're moving in the woods and stuff, you feel I don't know people who hunt and stuff, and when you stalk and stuff, it seems like you get into this caveman primitive hunting mode, and um, you're able to just slow down and observe things a lot more better because you're actually in this hunting mentality and stuff. I sometimes go hunting hungry and stuff too, because get into a little bit more of the the ancient type of hunter gatherer mindset stuff. So it helps to hunt and keeps you on your edge. And it kind of reminds me out there when I'm like this because Other times when you're in the woods, you're not slowed down, you're not observing, you're really not. When you go hunting and you're stalking something, you really are I mean, getting so much closer to the woods than any other time you're out there, really. Even when we're Sasquatch hunting, we don't go that slow, stalking and stuff. There's, trying to be quiet and actually observing every single thing like that. Usually we're walking into the area and busting down brush through hard to reach places because you can't sneak in usually on a Bigfoot. There's no point to sneak in on a Bigfoot because you generally can't unless they're occupied doing something that's very loud and it's drumming out what you would be able to sneak up on. But typically there's so many and stuff that there's just no way you can really sneak up on them, and you don't want to sneak up on one and you don't want to surprise any kind of animal that's big and stuff. um, we definitely feel like you want to engage with them at far, let them know that you're here. I like to know that you know I'm here for them. I'm trying to engage with them, and usually try to have this first interaction, and move to a different place. And if they follow and try to still kind of do this little crap of interaction, that's a good sign because you can acknowledge them. You can try to open up and try to put yourself out there in a friendly way, respectful way, and a playful way. And when you walk 100 yards, 200 yards, and they follow, well, that's not a normal animal. It's verification of the activity being not a normal animal. And if they continue with the sort of little non-aggressive interaction, as long as it's non-aggressive, then it's kind of an indicator that they are open to uh, interacting, doing this type of dance, because they followed you and they are engaging with you non-aggressively and stuff. So you basically put the ball in their hands and stuff. So you acknowledge them, stuff. You try to do what you want to do, friendly, to get them to to come in because that's what you want to do. You want to try to get them to do whatever to try to film, right? So you give them the ball and you go walk away. And if they take the ball and come back to you and try to play, then that's a very good sign of possible good long term relationship building and possible being evidence being actually caught. So it's a lot better than just trying to chase them and chase them and chase them and chase them and do whatever they're doing on Expedition Bigfoot and stuff like that. You know, um, chasing them and screaming, "Oh my God, what was that?" "Oh my God, did you see that?" And blah 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 blah. Just stay calm and stop being like a little kid about it, and like try to engage them like an individual, and them being an individual. If every response that if they throw things at you and stuff or do whatever they do that's non-aggressive, and every response to that is you're screaming, you're getting crazy, you're swearing, you're going you know smacking the other guy and saying, did you see that or hear that, blah blah blah. They're gonna probably think that's you're too excitable, you're too emotional for one. You got to be calm, cool, and collective. You got to just relax and observe and stuff, and just not get too emotional. Don't be flailing around. You want to be slow and stuff. You don't want to make any fast movements and stuff. Even though they're usually observing people, and they probably know when you're doing an aggressive motion towards a gun and towards a weapon and stuff, or you're just flailing around because you're excited and scared, and they'll watch very fast to make sure that that's what you're doing. And that's what I'm saying is you don't want to be flailing around because, they're going to be hyper vigilant about you. What are you doing with your hands? You grabbing something, you going after something. When me and Jason Kenzie had our encounter, you guys can watch that in the YouTube, the full encounter. Jason Kenzie and Blake Deutscher's Bigfoot encounter. When they announced their presence to us at first, I turned around and whipped my gun out and raised it towards them, but at the ground still. I never pointed it at anything. It was towards the direction of the sound, but pointing at the ground. And we heard the scattering around and stuff, They took the chance knowing that that's probably the response I would have going to do anyways. But once I had instantly determined, oh my gosh, this is probably Sasquatch stuff because that's not normal animal activity. If a bear was there and I turn around and point the gun at the bear's most likely not going to run away because I'm pointing the gun at him. He's like, oh wow, I'm about to be shot. No, that's not why a bear would ever run away. A bear would run away, for other reasons. But I very quickly determined that this is probably sad. It was them. Shouldered the weapon, very calm, cool, and collective manner, and everything. And then you can watch from there because that's basically when he started filming. So that's when they started having the interaction. They showed themselves because I put the gun away, and they probably understood that they took this chance of these people are out there in the middle of the night. He has a gun. I was already out there, and I did point my gun at stuff that I'd hear that was behind me in the woods that I didn't know what it was because there's bears up there, there's wolves up there. I'm not gonna be a defenseless little prey animal. I'm a predator out there if I need to be, and I would defend myself in such ways that I will survive. So yeah, I was pointing my gun at anything that was behind me in the woods that I heard. A couple times before that during the day and stuff, so maybe they have seen that. I don't know, but I'm sure that's the response that they assumed because the sound that they made, it was either thumping of the ground or they had brushed the ground pretty aggressively to it was a huge movement of a brush movement or something. And but when I did point the gun in the direction, they did scatter. But then I put the gun away and we heard the movement kind of just. And then that's when he started filming, and because we started seeing them, and they showed themselves, and they took the chance. They took that as an understanding that, wow, maybe he's not going to shoot us and stuff. And obviously, when we were seeing them, looking at them, talking about them, pointing at them, you guys can watch that it goes on for minutes and minutes and minutes, and being surrounded by them and seeing the eye shine being captured on the IR light that we can't see. I'm standing there looking at it, and it's probably like 10, 15, 20 feet away. It's close. It's huge. Not once do they probably thought, as soon as they put the gun away, that, especially when we're seeing them, that we were going to be any kind of harm to them. And, we kind of thought the same thing because if they meant us harm, they would never have announced their presence to us. If they wanted to hurt us, they would just do it stealthy. They would sneak attack you. It shows so much intelligence, a willingness to put their own, the risk that they took to announce themselves to us when I have a gun, in the hopes of that we would understand that it was a Sasquatch, not another animal doing that to them. What if it was another person who never knew about Sasquatch and they did that same thing? What would that person have thought? hearing stuff scatter around the woods and stuff to a normal person, unless they absolutely know what a Sasquatch sounds like in the woods when they're sneaking through the woods. I do, because I've experienced it a number of times. Jason was with me. I instantly knew it was the Sasquatches. I put the gun away. Started to have the interaction. It's filmed. You can watch Jason. Does an excellent job filming. He's seen one that was standing up behind us, standing up, and then spider crawled across the trail. You can watch him. He's filming himself as he's witnessing it. His whole complexion. He has a system reboot. He sees it. He's processing it, and he has to jiggle and reboot himself because he cannot basically believe what he has seen. You can watch it in real time as it's happening. You know, traumatized by what he had seen clearly in the video. You can watch it as it happens. There's a lot of things, excitement and stuff going on, and but the intelligence to take that chance to do that. If it was any other non-Sasquatch related researcher, they wouldn't have probably put that gun away because they just hurt animals. You know, they wouldn't have thought Sasquatch. Why would they put the gun away? And so, these things probably wouldn't have just done it to any random people because they took the chance and formulated and strategized that there was a percentage chance that me and Jason were going to have the exact response that me and him did have, which is the best response that they had hoped for, right? They're announcing themselves to us and they're trying to interact with us. They don't want to scare us, and they took the chance with the gun. They took the chance, and once everything was calm, cool, and collective, they proceeded to stand behind the tree and show themselves. Look at us and stuff, and we could see the silhouette and the eye shine, massive head. As even though I had heard the things, I put the gun away. When I first seen the thing, I was so skeptical. We're like, well, it could still be, it could be an animal with eye shine and stuff. But even though I'd put the gun away because I knew it was them, seeing it and stuff, I still wanted to be skeptical. I still wanted to make sure that, this, it still wasn't good enough. Still wasn't good enough. Even though I'm seeing this, it's still not good enough. Until it looked, and I could just see this massive cone-shaped head, elongated head. I mean, it's massive. It's from its eyes to the top of its head. It was massive. Its forehead was just like, oh my gosh. And the other one came out and was standing 8 foot tall. This other one was crouched and stuff, so it was about, I would say 3.5 foot crouched on the ground. Massive head, just truly crazy. And the other one, it was just amazing. And we were pointing at him, seeing him, and then we went up to him because why not, right? And we approached, and it's so dumb in the video that we sing and stuff, and I just I keep saying my Native American, I'm greeting them, I'm saying hello to them, and I'm trying to get a response and something, but of course they don't respond to any Native American. So as we approach to be non-aggressive, we start singing, and I start singing, calling out to them, and Jason starts going la 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 la, because that's the only thing he can do. It's super intense. You were walking up to these things, and we wanted to know that we're friendly and singing and being playful, and that is the only thing I could come up with to let him know. And only an intelligent animal, an intelligent creature, super intelligent creature would be able to pick that out and tell very fast. I'm sure they probably knew that we were okay, but they had moved out of the way when we started to approach. We didn't see them there. That's when we picked up the eye shine very close. We also picked it up in a different spot. but it's very close, very close. I mean, at one point I'm staring practically right at it with these headlamps that are sucky, but I don't see nothing. The only thing I remember seeing it when venturing, looking in the direction, was just trees. There's no massive, Sasquatch standing there. So in that point of the video, when you see the eye shine right by me, that creature is so close that we were able to see the eye shine and everything at 60 feet away when we were seeing them. This thing is like 20 feet away, and I'm not able to see it. You know, it's a lot closer, and wasn't able to see it in the tree line and stuff. But it wasn't massive tree line. It was a bunch of smaller trees and stuff. So wasn't densely thicketed or anything. But me and Jason didn't see it. Um, so yeah, and I told them to come back to camp basically with I told them that where more members would be, and of course they did, and but they didn't interact with the main group like that. They didn't really do anything besides people's just a person had seen one on thermal standing and watching, basically standing behind uh, the campfire in the group. I was behind. Basically, everyone was around the fire, right? Some people are scattered on this other side, and I'm back behind my tent, and back behind me is this creature standing there. And so, but they didn't interact. They didn't, you know, scream or yell, throw rocks at us that close. After that, now, days before that and stuff, they had made calls. They had definitely done other stuff, but that night after me and Jason's close encounters, they didn't do any other type of interaction. They just observed us, obviously very close to camp. So how come they didn't try to reach out and interact more? Maybe they thought certain individuals at that camp would not have the same reactions that they were hoping for, that me and Jason displayed to their liking. Uh, so they just hung around camp. So, that tells me that, they're only open to interact with only certain people who they observe and who they like, or there must be something. I know from meeting Jason that he's very fun, charismatic, funny guy, always telling jokes, always making everyone laugh and cracking up and smiling. He loves to see that, loves to have everyone smiling, and so I definitely can see why maybe they were open to him, because he was making everyone laugh out there and smile out there, and always has these amazing stories and stuff, and running around out there, he'd be falling out there, all sorts of goofy stuff, and maybe they were actually observing that and actually grew accustomed and liking to him within that week. We were out there for a week. Um, for whatever reasons and stuff. So if you're out there and you're doing things and you're just yourself and you're being comfortable and you're not a really crappy person, you obviously have a pretty good chance to possibly have interactions with those who are open to that. Obviously, Sasquatches are individuals, so not all of them are going to be like that, but obviously that's can help you, because there was more than one. There was probably at least three. So there's at least three individuals who were me and Jason's encounter, and they all were on the same game plan and of our understanding. Even when I pointed the gun at them, they didn't freak out and attack. They all scattered, they observed and waited and watched. When I put the gun away and stuff, again, everything was pretty much good. And So when we seen the two at the tree in front of us, there was one sneaking towards our right and getting. I could hear him, and I kept telling Jason, I think there's one on our right. And he keeps basically he circled us and got behind us because that was the one that Jason had seen. It was on the same side that I thought he had seen. Jason had turned around and seen it from that side, went down, crossed over. So there was three of them at least, and that one had creeped behind us as we were watching them. That's what I was kind of scared of because as a as they're alpha predators and tacticians of the woods, they are setting us up to come behind us and ambush us, right? Getting behind us and stuff easily, but why they could have just done that at the very beginning and stuff. So I was pretty calm, cool, and collective. That these things are actually here for interaction, not to not to scare us, not to harm us, not to kill us, but for actual interaction. But I didn't want to push. I don't want to push the envelope. I know Jason's pretty scared, hyped up in that. I was pretty scared in the moment too. Obviously, it's an intense situation. Don't want to push the envelope, even though we're having a good interaction. If these things wanted to, keep playing with us, say, they didn't want us to go back to camp yet. Might not have let us going back to camp yet. And it's not always the bad things you have to worry about of them being aggressively bad to you, but if you're having interactions, and as a guy, if you get a female to fancy you, these female Sasquatches, maybe they might not want you to leave. They, I mean, honestly, if they get that in their mindset, it means, fellas, once a woman kind of gets in her mind, she can do a lot of stuff. I'm sure female Sasquatches are no different, but it's very dangerous and stuff, and that is something that you did nothing wrong. You did everything good. You did everything by pretty much the book, like people would say you would do. But she took a fancy to you, and maybe she don't want to let you go, and maybe you go missing, and you're in a cave somewhere, and you're a stay-at-home cave dad. There's Native American legends of that happening, both male and female being kidnapped by these creatures and being bred and being forced to stay. They are not allowed to leave. The female Sasquatches, along with the males, get very mad, angry when their partners, the human partners that they've kidnapped, try to leave and stuff. They don't like that and stuff, and sometimes they're even smacked and beaten, and it's understood that basically they're not ever going to leave. And there are some stories of settlers coming over here and being kidnapped, and the same thing is basically forced to stay and live your life with this female counterpart of Sasquatch, and they have kids and stuff. And some stories are, when the person escapes, the Sasquatch female rips the child in half. And this child is half hairy and half non-hairy, and she rips this child in half and throws the hairy part to the guy, and she keeps the part of the baby that looks like the person, the pale skin. So there's a lot of different stories and stuff like that. There's some Native American stories that go back even further of these sort of things. There's actually in the Southwest, there's tales and stuff of 5 foot tall Sasquatches that only grow to be 5 foot tall, kidnapping Native American women or taking any women as their wife. It was the story was any woman as their wife as they took fit, because they would kill any brave that stood in their way. And their fathers and stuff either you would come into the village and he would, the story was basically, if the father and stuff didn't give the daughter up for marriage and give basically have a partnership and deal with the Sasquatch, because they would still trade and foster relationships after, he would either kill the father or the husband if he took a wife of a person, uh, or you would foster that relationship. But this was only a 5 foot tall creature, and it would take many wives and killed many braves, and um, but it could talk and communicate in the native languages and stuff, because there were some chiefs that gave their daughters to some of these 5 foot tall Sasquatches and stuff that demanded them as their wives and stuff. So it showed that not only could these creatures communicate intellectually, that where they were more human and stuff, and that they could breed with human populations and stuff and produce offspring. That's the Native Americans. These are different tribes. Some of these tribes are thousands of miles apart that basically had no contact with each other officially, and definitely easily spoke different languages. They basically had different interpretations of how the world started, where they originally came from. I mean, these people were basically worlds apart, but yet they had very similar stories about Sasquatches kidnapping women, marrying basically women, breeding with them, or going to war with Sasquatches, or some of these creatures just basically being mindless beasts who would just cannibalize and eat them. They wouldn't bother trying to breed with them. They would just eat them. There was no other emotion besides hunger, and this insatiable lust of hunger that these creatures would just prey upon these natives. So you have a very wide variety of things going on. That's why many people think there's different types, there's different this and there's that, because there's all these different attitudes, different looking ones and stuff. But there's different looking people. There's all sorts of different attitudes, uh, different cultures and customs when it comes to different cultures. In Papua New Guinea, there is still very ritualistic customs of them eating their dead relatives who are, you know, cooked and stuff, ceremonially smoked and cooked and stuff, and they ceremonially eaten. But there's all sorts of crazier customs throughout the ancient world that we know were more bloodlust and thirsty and more vile and stuff. So any kind of humanistic culture that is developed, if these creatures have any sort of things, they might some might have some pretty sinister uh, customs and cultures when it regards to us, because some of them might not treat us as anything but food and beneath dirt, while some are more uh, beloved, benevolent, and when we're kind to our species, maybe more adept to learning and interacting and stuff, not going to war and eating us and stuff like that. So uh, uh, if they were a people, it would explain a lot more in so many more ways. If they were just a dumb ape out there, then we should be able to have a body. We should be able to have a lot of things. So, but we're about an hour in. If you guys have any questions, ask them now. I don't think I'm going to go on too much longer, because I'm going to get ready and head out. So pack up and double check, make sure everything's good. Double, triple check, make sure you got all the equipment ready to go. Batteries, SD cards, extra batteries, flashlights, extra flashlights, and we'll go head out and set up camp in the dark and be out there all weekend. So So yeah, pretty happy about being able to go out by myself. It was kind of spur of the moment. Honestly, just found out basically about a couple days ago I was able to do that, and so I was just like, well, you know what? It's been enough time. I need to do some solo stuff. So especially a multiple day solo trip. Uh, I like doing. It's been a while since I've been able to do multiple days. So usually I can do like an overnighter easily, no problem. But yeah, I'll be safe and stuff. I shouldn't have any issues and stuff. So, but if I do go missing under mysterious circumstances, you guys know what happened. Uh, something mysterious happened. I'm not going to just go missing out of nowhere, especially being here in lower or northern Michigan. Uh, it's not, shouldn't be that wild that they would not be able to find me. In the UP, though, that's a little bit different. It's pretty wild, and there's a lot of missing people up there. But um, nope, I definitely let my partner know, my girlfriend know where I'm going and stuff. So there's at least one person who knows where I'm at in the vast area that I'll be in. But uh, yeah, you got to be careful out there. I mean, I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna be in a swamp and stuff. I'll be doing some pretty dangerous stuff potentially in some pretty different dangerous areas and stuff. But um, you can't let that sort of things hold you back, and just don't do anything stupid and stuff. A lot of people get overexcited and they get too complacent about certain things and stuff, and not realize the dangers that they put themselves into, especially say I've been doing this a lot of years now and stuff, and don't want to get complacent about being out there and just doing this because it seems like it's routine. I might accidentally slip and jump onto a ground that's not ground. It's mud, quicksand, basically muck, and all the way down to basically past my head and just all the way down and come back up. That'd be very, very bad, and especially being out there by myself. That'd be probably one of the worst case scenarios. Um, so you always don't ever just jump off into a swamp, off of a log or off of something, because you might sink down farther than you think. I got rope and all that too, so because I've already had that happen to me. I've had that happen. I've jumped and missed something, and I fell into a creek muck thing, and I was up to my chest before, and no one knew where I was at. No one even knew the area to even look and stuff before. So I've had a little experience with those sort of things. So that is, it was always on my mind is this missing 401 stuff, because been studying and reading more on it, and these cases are bizarre. They're not normal, and it's just something spectacular is happening to these people in a variety of different ways. I don't think it's one thing. Um, so you have to be on guard when we're out there. Don't don't take this as a joke. Don't A lot of people take this as a hobby and adventure and everything, blah blah blah. So, yeah, that's as you should. Maybe that's probably is a good way, especially if you're getting into the subject. But on a more serious note, um, there are real things going on that are making missing people happen, and there are Sasquatches out there. Not all of them are nice. There are dogman creatures out there. I just got shown a very interesting photograph of a potential dogman creature in Tennessee. Its back, its whole back half and legs are very weird, not normal of a normal wolf animal that I've seen and stuff. It didn't look anything like the dogman creature I had seen. Definitely more freakish looking, which is what's reported in the South. But we have these creatures that are wolves that are everyday, normal, everyday looking wolves here in Michigan that just get up and They walk on two legs, start running like people. Um, these things are out there. If wolves are dangerous, a wolf that can get up and walk and run like a person and engage you like that is a lot more dangerous. Who knows what's going on with intelligence, or who knows? Even if it's just a basic wolf that has evolved to stand up and run like a person, fluidly, and what I had seen, it was having full control of these arms like a person. So it didn't. There's a lot going on there. So there's a lot going on in the woods of Michigan and the woods of North America. So you should have to be on guard and vigilant, because this is kind of serious at times. It can be as fun, family oriented, and nothing happens and nothing maybe ever will happen. But there is stuff that does happen to people that's horrific and traumatizing, and people are going missing, and that is reality. So when you're in those woods, you put yourself into that reality, and if you're not careful, you're going to become part of it. So, but I got a few things to do, and tomorrow, uh, long day of filming, being out there, and going to some crazy places, and hopefully having some good interaction. I think it's going to be a good thing if I get, this particular area. I've had some success during the daytime, and if we can get some daytime stuff, that's hopefully we can get it. Yep. Yeah, that's a great spot up there, and around Harrison and stuff. Once you get up northern Michigan, it's everywhere up there. Every little small town is basically great habitat. Woods everywhere. Of course, Bob Daigle has been a lot of places and stuff. He has a personal uh, map book of sightings, basically a map of, and they're practically sighting almost. They are sighted in every single county, but they're practically everywhere. Or they're migrating and visiting these areas. How frequently? That's a real good question. I think it's every 2 weeks or so. So they would come into this one particular area every 2 weeks and stay a couple of days. 2, 3, 4 days, and then about 2 weeks they would come back. So that was that particular area in Lower Michigan. So I do know in other areas it seems like they hang around a little bit more full time than that. So, but yeah, thanks everyone for wishing me good luck and staying safe and all that. I appreciate that. Um, so you'll watch Bob Daigle speak. I'll have it premiere this Saturday for you guys. You guys can watch that. I'll be out in the woods, so I won't be on to be talking to you guys, doing nothing like that. Then we'll send up recorders and hopefully getting the nighttime stuff is what I'm really hoping for. Some nighttime footage of some good stuff and some good audios for you guys, and hopefully something spectacular. I don't know. I'm very hopeful, and so excited, ready to get out there. So if you guys want to contact me, you guys can contact me at the Lost Cryptids Conservatory at gmail.com. We also have a Facebook page that you can message directly at the Lost Cryptids Conservatory Facebook page. We also have the Facebook group you guys can join where, we post a little bit, actually post basically a lot of ancient mysteries, ancient treasures, lost civilizations, a lot of non-Bigfoot cryptid related interesting stuff that I think is awesome because this stuff is out there, especially in North America. There's a lot of ancient, mysterious stuff that has been forgotten. So it's always cool to find new discoveries and new things that they are finding and new theories and stuff that these scientists are actually discovering and actually putting to the test. Finding new pyramids in the Amazon and actually whole cities that they have verified being buried by lidar and stuff. So all sorts of cool, crazy stuff that you guys can look at that is archived and stuff for years and years of knowledge and information. So you also can contact me on there on Facebook. Blake, you'll see me posting on the Lost Cryptids and posting pretty much in a lot of different groups when I post the Lost Cryptid stuff. So you can find me, message me on there. You can also contact me here more directly, my personal email. And I keep getting asked if people want to donate and stuff. You can donate through YouTube. You can donate through. I do have a Patreon if you just want to. I just have it if preferred like a donation thing. So if you sign up and just want to donate that way, you can donate a little bit that way. There's little different tiers you can do that way. You can go to the Facebook page and stuff, and I think you can actually directly donate to through Messenger and stuff now, actually. So if you guys want to do that, you guys can do that. Whatever, not a big deal. But so yeah. So anyways, we'll keep you guys updated. We'll bring you hopefully some great evidence and more information for you guys next weekend. Next week sometime. Might hopefully I might try. I'm trying to go back out next weekend too. So it'd be awesome to go out in a pristine area if I'm able to. But being so close to 4th of July, we'll see. So everyone take care. God bless, and thank you all for your time, and I just appreciate everyone who watches and reaches out and reaches out behind the scenes and stuff. It's really awesome. So all right, guys. Well, enjoy the rest of your Thursday night and enjoy the weekend.